Hi, this is Dr. Mary Balliet, Chief Science Officer and the co-founder of Potential Power Nutrition. And in Conversations with the Expert, I'd like to introduce Dr. Beth Westie. And Dr. Beth Westie is really dedicated her career to women's health and hormonal problems with women, and she is an expert in that. And so, Dr. Beth, how'd you get here?
Yay. Well, thank you for having me on here. I love just kind of sharing the message, and I love that. I mean, you and I have a very similar mindset overall, so I really appreciate, having me on here to talk. So, yay.
Thank
Um yeah, so how I got to do the whole women's health thing was like a lot of people, like a lot of practitioners that get involved in a very niche area. I struggled with it myself. So I have three kids. After my youngest was born, she was about 2 months early, so she was a preemie. And then I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old at the same time. I had a very brand new business just after graduating. That was very stressful in and of itself. So all this stress in my life, and I started getting ovarian cysts, and they would burst. And like I vividly remember being in a treatment room trying to treat a patient, and I could feel the pressure in my abdomen, and then running to my very back room and like crouching down behind a table because my cyst would burst, and my office manager would come find me and be like, "What are you doing? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Just give me a minute." Ooh, trying not to vomit from the pain. And that would happen again and again, and like month after month. Um, ovarian like PCOS, ovarian cysts that were absolutely horrific, completely disrupted my life. And every time I went into, I mean, my OBGYN, all these other appointments, all this stuff, they were like, "Oh, just go on birth control." I have a lot of negative side effects from taking a pill. There's a lot of other birth controls that I'm not a candidate for. Just through I have a bicornate uterus, so I can't have an IUD. I can't, there's other factors that those aren't options for me. And there's no good option. That was it. And then other than them telling me to take the birth control pill and be on Vicodin forever, I was like, that's not I can't treat patients looped out on Vicodin. Are you kidding me? Like that's not ethical or okay. I had no other options really. And I was stuck and frustrated. And so I started deep diving into, Eastern medicine. And that's the whole aspect of where I started really diving into, I mean, we'll call it alternative medicine, but I really think it's holistic health in terms of working with the body, working with your hormones, and learning more about hormonal health for women, learning more about nutrition for your cycle and how to help your hormonal production and maintenance overall, and what the female body really needs to function well. So that was almost 12 years ago, really was my journey with that, um, where I started turning things around and working on my own health. And that kind of devolved into me selling my clinic and writing a book and starting a podcast and doing the work I do now. So I do a lot of virtual, telehealth for women in hormones, kind of all over the world now. So yeah.
That's so cool. That is so cool. And so, what did you discover? Because when you think about PCOS, which was this early thing, and we talk about all the new literature that came out around that time,
Yeah.
really saying that this is a problem where you're not doing a good job in managing the androgens, the testosterone to estradiol, where you're getting stuck in that pathway, where you're having this very irregular cycle and uh, almost having a metabolic syndrome that's impacting your hormones.
Yeah. Yes.
So, what did you discover about how to handle that then for yourself?
Yeah. So it really was, I want to say not changing a ton, because at that point I mean, all my friends are health practitioners of some form or fashion, right? Those are all my colleagues and peers. I was talking to everybody about it. This is what I have going on. I really need help. I'm not getting help from, Western medicine at all. What else can I do? What else can I try? I was getting adjusted. I was doing some acupuncture, moxibustion. I was taking so many supplements.
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
not. like a basket of stuff. I was anything and everything I could get my hands on that was somewhat related to hormones at all.
Right.
And but without the basic things that my body needed, I didn't realize that even though I was eating clean, that
Yes.
wasn't enough, right? Like I've been gluten free for, I mean, at this point now, I've been gluten free for like 20 years, right? But, I mean, at that point, I've been gluten free for, I think, 8 years at that point, dairy free, soy free, no sugar, no alcohol, eating super clean and healthy. But even doing that, I still was not getting enough basic nutrient in to really give my body enough energy to even do any of the hormone balancing. So it didn't matter how many supplements I was taking, even if I was taking good things, I didn't have enough basic energy to get going. And so when I started this, I really started shifting. I started using protein shakes.
Mhm.
Um, they weren't the they weren't the best quality back then. But it was what the best I could get at the time. Doing some like increasing my protein, I started to notice an increase in my energy, an increase in my stress response, mood, all of those things. My sleep got better, and it was part of incorporating, and I really specialized in like eating for your hormones, helping estrogen, helping progesterone, all that stuff, and I started layering that in too. And those are kind of the baseline things that took me out of that really tough place. That was like the discovery of like, oh my gosh, even if I'm eating clean, that's not it, right? Like
Right.
it's not because, oh, I'm having a little bit of sugar that's ruining it. It's I'm not getting actually enough of the basic nutrients in for my body to function the way that it needs to function now.
I'm
So,
thrilled that you're saying that because that was a similar thing that happened for me. And
yeah.
we talked a couple of years ago, but that what I realized when I was doing a ton of different supplementations, it's called vitamin supplementation, not food substitution. And I'm a biochemist by training. And I realized what was missing is that foundational piece. What does that look like when you have to have that macronutrient first? When you have to look at your protein and it's not a no carb diet, it's the right carb diet, and you have to have the right fats. And then you have to have the vitamins, the B vitamins for the mitochondria have to be in the right amount and the right form. And so, yeah, and then you can add on to it, right? Because you have that baseline thing. And
Yes.
so, what in the end, what did you find about protein? What
Yeah.
should women be doing in order
Oh
to
my
have
gosh.
protein? Because I think
Yeah.
it's misunderstood.
Oh, protein. I talk about protein so much. And and this is so funny, like as we're recording this, and I know who knows what's gonna happen with TikTok really, but recently just posted a TikTok and it's the most viral TikTok that I've ever had. There's like 1.8 million views on it right
Oh my
now.
God, that's great.
It's about protein.
Okay.
It's about the basic, and there's so many comments on it, and some people are getting it, and some people are like, no, that's bad for you, and this and this. And I'm like, oh Lord, we're so misled about basic protein. Now, again, I've been an athlete my whole life. I grew up eating healthy, things like that, right? I grew up on a goat farm, right? So eating kind of farm meals, meat and potatoes, right? I'm from Minnesota, so good old Midwest meals, got a hot dish, all the time. But like the focus on protein was never there really. It was the diet culture, the eating less, the starving yourself, like leave the meal hungry, blah blah blah, and not taking a focus on what's actually happening. Then you're becoming nutrient deficient, mineral deficient, all these other things. You're not processing the nutrients well that you are getting in, which leaves you over time completely depleted, where then women are waking up one day wondering, why do I feel like garbage? Why am I totally inflamed? Am I so fatigued? And I'm trying to work out and I'm not building muscle, or I'm not seeing results anymore. And it's like you've just completely depleted your entire system. And so the protein piece of it, I honestly believe is the first step. Like I don't care what else, other supplement you're taking. I don't care what you're doing. If you're spending an hour in meditation to try and deal with your stress levels, if you're not getting protein in, you're not going to get anywhere, right?
Yes, I do
It's
actually.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I'm exactly with you on this. And one of the things that I say that I don't know if you say to your patients when they're really against animal protein I'm not talking about crap animal protein, but good quality animal protein. I get that. We don't want to necessarily eat concentration camp chickens, as they call them. But when we're eating good quality protein and they are against that, I say, the problem is you don't want to eat animal protein, but then you actually are a cannibal. You actually are going to have to break your own muscle mass down in order to make your peptide hormones, to make all of your immune system, to make all your transport proteins, to make your hair, your skin, your nails, all of those things you're going to have to get from somewhere. And so you're like, oh, I don't want to have any good quality cow steak, but I'm totally happy to eat my steak. So it's really intriguing. I mean, how do you get that across to women, how really critical this is, especially if we want to age vibrantly, we need muscle mass. How do you
Yes.
inspire them?
Yeah. It's a tough thing, and sometimes it's only something you can realize by looking back on pictures. Like I look back at pictures of myself during that time frame, I almost don't recognize myself. I was like my hair was very thin, and I mean I have kind of fine hair anyway, but I remember like seeing photos of myself with my hair in a ponytail and I was like I barely look like I have any hair, right? My eyes look sunken in. I don't look like a vibrant person. And at the time, I thought I was like, "Oh, I'm doing all these good healthy things. I'm taking all these really good fish oils." Okay. But my body, like you just said, the cannibalism of it internally yourself, it was living off of stored nutrients, and I just had 3 babies in 6 years. So that's also very taxing on the system. Of course, I got to a point where I was, I'll call it a health crisis, right? That the cysts that were bursting, the PCOS, all this stuff that started, I didn't have issues like that before. I really think it's the combination of all these things and the stress and being worn down and you know, limiting my nutrients at certain points again because I was doing the gluten-free stuff and I probably wasn't doing a great job overall, right? I was just trying to eat clean, as they say, but it's really tough when when you're in it. And
Yes.
until you really start something different, and sometimes it's only a matter of like hearing somebody else talk about it and be like, "Oh my gosh, that is how I feel." I feel like I look at myself and I don't quite recognize, or I look at pictures of myself and I'm like, "That doesn't seem like me," or "Was I sick that day? I don't look okay," or I don't have the same energy I used to. Um, you know, basic things where, I had a mom tell me recently, she was like, yeah, last year for Halloween, trick or treating with my kids, she's like, I didn't have energy to do it. She goes, we started off and I had to leave. I had to leave and go home, and I didn't get to finish trick or treating with my kid because I was so exhausted. And after her just doing some of the basic stuff, right? Basic things, she's like, I went out trick or treating this past year, was there the whole time. And she's like, I had my protein snacks and this for the walk and everything. And she goes, I didn't slow down once. I'm like, see, these are the things where it like literally changes your life then. And
I
we don't realize how much of our day-to-day life that we want to be a part of, participate in, like be the best, wife and mom and friend and all these other things. But if we don't have enough of that basic energy, we're just going to, we're stealing from our future self because we're not going to have that energy then either because our body just gets broken down instead of built back up.
Yes.
So,
Someone told me once, it's all great to give water when you're at the well, but you should never give away your last canteen. And I think that that's so important as women, that we
yeah,
have to fill our canteen first, and then we can start to help other people, whether you're talking about putting the oxygen mask on yourself. And
yes,
so, uh, all of my patients now, we all had our kids together, but now it's starting to be grandmothers, even though maybe I don't look it. But yeah, so me and all of my current patients are in the grandmother range. And so we want to be vibrant. We want to be there for our children, and whether it's our sons or daughters, and then our grandchildren. We want to be able to get down on the floor and get back up,
yeah,
and not feel like if we go out on a, like now with the Arctic chill, it's slippy out there, and you want to have that really great ability to be able to stand on one foot. And
mhm,
that is key.
Yep.
And you cannot stand on one foot for what it takes, the time it takes to pick your other foot up and take one step. You have to be able to stand on one foot, and that takes muscle mass, and
Yes.
that actually takes exercise. And
Yes.
so, we're talking about diet, so important, but when we're making muscle, we're going to make muscle with weight bearing exercise. So, what do you add? So, now I'm eating this protein. What exercise? You're an athlete. I was at CrossFit this morning. What exercise do you say? Because I get the importance of weight bearing to be vibrant so that you build muscle so you can put those mitochondria that make energy for you. That's where they are.
Yeah.
They're the motor. And
Yes.
if you don't have a car, what are you going to do with your motors? So you have to lift weights in order to put the motors in. So you make more motors when you do cardio, but you got to have a car. So you got to weight lift. So how do you inspire women to be as good an athlete as you are? Like, how do you inspire them to do some weight bearing exercise? What do you ask them to do?
Yeah. So, I mean, the other thing I look at for women is I always recommend doing like a group exercise to start, some type of group community, club, whatever class that they're a part,
Class.
it
That's
can
what
be,
I do.
yeah, whatever type you want to do, right? Whatever. I don't care what type it is, whether it's like a kickboxing or CrossFit or boot camp or whatever, right? As long as there's strength incorporated, or Orange Theory Fitness or, whatever. It
Yes.
doesn't matter. But women respond best in the way our brains work, right? We respond best and we're actually more committed to doing group fitness more than individual or like, oh, I'm going to go for a run by myself or work out by myself. I mean, you can, but you're going to be more successful and especially starting off doing it in a community, in a group, in something and getting involved. I mean, that's why boutique gyms have popped up left, right, and center over the last 20 years because they're successful, right? For
Yes.
a reason, because that's what women do best by with exercise and consistency.
Correct.
So that's, I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter the specific thing that you get started with. Get started, start doing something that gives you a group and a community that you can connect with other people and just start having fun with it. That's I tell people to very get started. They have this thing sometimes called Class Pass for, I mean, I live in the Twin Cities, so you can get a Class Pass and that allows you to try a class at a lot of different gyms and fitness centers. For like a couple $100, you can go for the entire month. You get a one class like, for free anywhere, no matter what. So you can try a bunch of different things, figure out what you like, and and then jump into it. So you're not, spending a lot of money on things that you don't know if you like.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant, actually. I know at our gym we had that it was free, bring a friend week, right? And so you could go for free for that week and try out the different classes. So
Yes.
I definitely see that for myself. You know,
Yeah.
exercise, I always do better when I'm in a class every single time, because then in the morning I'll say, oh, it's cold, but I'm like, I want to show up because I know other people are there and we were working out together. Then we're holding each other accountable. We're there to support each other. And as a woman, it definitely does work so, so much better for me. I totally see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great advice. And then as we wrap up, what about sleep? How important is that?
So essential and important. And I know I feel like research is now kind of catching up to what a lot of women have naturally known for a long time. Women need more sleep. You need more consistent sleep. And it's important your quality of sleep. So whatever you need to do to change your sleep patterns, habit, all that stuff, so you get better sleep is essential for that rebuild, the muscle rebuilding, your immune system, your natural body detoxification, all that stuff happens while you're sleeping, right? So, um, I mean, now I sleep with earplugs, with a weighted blanket, with a sleep mask, because especially if the moon is going to be shining in my window, I don't want that on my face.
That's so funny. We did not speak about this at all ahead of time, but I make sure the house is incredibly quiet. I sleep with an eye mask and a weighted blanket. It's
Yes.
really important for your autonomic nervous system to have a really great bedtime routine. And another thing that's really great is I do 10 minutes of Shavasana before I go to bed because it's known to decrease your stress hormones. Just 10 minutes lying with on your back with your hands up quietly. I actually even put heat on my chest, which just kind of rock because I'm forward a lot of the day. So just to do that. And I almost always fall asleep now with that because I've got the eye mask on, I got this on, it's really kind of comical. But
Yeah.
I think this is a very stressful world. And just what you're talking about reduces our stress hormones. And if our stress hormones go down, then our other hormones just have a better chance of working
Yes.
correctly.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I feel like people, what signs of good sleep. I mean, there's, watches or rings or whatever that you can track sleep in a lot of different ways. One little thing without even buying anything else that I like to go off of is dreaming.
Oh, that's
I
great.
noticed that, yeah, a lot of people, and one of the recommendations sometimes I give for people, besides, getting more protein during the day, protein pacing, but also getting more protein before they go to bed.
Yes.
If they notice they wake up and their system's too active. And again, I like get a
Thank you.
shake before bed or I make it in like a cookie dough. Have we talked about this?
No, we have not.
Have
Let's
we
hear
talked about this? So I
that.
really love I'll do peanut butter or almond butter,
Uh-huh.
just like a scoop, and I'll warm it up in the microwave for like 10 seconds to make it
Uh-huh.
soft. And then I add a little bit of almond milk
Yeah.
and the protein powder and I mix it up into this paste, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, it's like chocolate, it's chocolate peanut butter cookie dough.
Oh my God, that's great. Want to know what I do? I
It's
do.
so good.
I do a half a cup of yogurt. And for me, the brown cows are the best yogurt because it those are the ones that don't they're what's called A2 milk. And so I
Yeah.
do a half a cup of brown cow yogurt and then
Mhm.
up to a half a cup of spring water, stir that up, put the packet in there, and it's chocolate pudding. It's
Yeah.
really delicious. It's so
Yes.
good. So that's interesting that we're both doing that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, anybody who wakes up between 1 and 3 in the morning, that is their liver is really struggling because
Yeah.
they haven't had enough protein to keep their blood sugar even overnight. And then they're going to actually make adrenaline while they're sleeping, keep their blood sugar up, which is exactly what we don't need. So
Yeah.
I can't, we never talked about this. I had no
No, didn't
idea you were doing that. Um, that's very exciting. Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
that
Well,
sounds
and I
great.
do it that way because I do a lot of dairy-free stuff. My
Yes.
my tummy doesn't like a lot of the dairy. So a
That's
lot of
perfect.
yeah, a lot of what I do is a dairy-free version, but again, still high protein before bed, getting
Yeah.
to sleep. And the number of women that I have tell me after they start doing that, the protein before bed, they'll be like, I'm having these crazy dreams. And I'm like, what do you mean crazy? They're like, I'm dreaming, I'm remembering my dreams. This was literally no joke. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had a gal tell me she hasn't realized she hasn't dreamt or had dreams in like 2 or 3 years. And she started doing protein throughout the day and protein at night specifically before going to bed. And she's like, I am dreaming. They are vivid. It's like colors and sounds and crazy. And she's like, am I okay? I was like, this is fabulous to dream like that. Like your brain should dream, and you weren't able to do that because you were so undernourished before. Now you're doing it. That's wonderful. So,
It is wonderful. James Moss, who is a leading researcher in sleep, he really actually showed that there's only one thing when kids go to college that is goes with your GPA, and that's hours of good quality sleep. Athletes, students, good quality sleep. Now we have a lot of noise here. I'm sorry. I have a little construction at my house. Um, I think we'll wrap up. This is amazing. I think we'll do some short questions and answers at another time where we could maybe ask people what questions you want us to answer, and we can maybe do something like that. This is amazing. We did not talk about a bunch of this ahead of time, and for us to both be at the same place, to both be saying this is what works for us, whether you're a mom of school age children and I'm at the grandmother age, that's a wide range of women that we can really help by just
Yeah.
making small, meaningful changes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you're going to take your time and energy to an effort to add something into your day to make it easier, I mean, literally, it's the most like the protein, like get more protein, get better sleep, and try and decrease your stress. If those three things, if nothing else, right, that's going to help your overall health, improve your overall constitution overall for like most people. That's yeah.
That is awesome. I am so grateful to have you, Dr. Beth. The work that you're doing is amazing, and I'm just thrilled to have you and be in relationship with you and doing this amazing work.
Yeah, of course. Well, this is wonderful. Like, thank you for having me. And this is, yeah, if there's ever questions people have that, they want more info on, we could absolutely do a Q&A. That would be fun.
All right, cool. Thanks. Just stay on
Yeah.
after we stop this. Thank you, everyone, for watching Conversations with Experts.